Bay is like no place else.
Wait, you can't recycle the bag. You have to throw it away.
Proper recycling keeps it that way for everyone. Bags tangle in machinery and can bring sorting efforts to a halt.
No bags.
Trash the bags and keep our recycling program moving forward.
No, Mom, look. No plastic bags.
Do your part to keep our recycling bag-free. Trash the tanglers or return them to participating retailers. For more information, visit TampaBayRecycles.org.
Oh man, here comes Arnie again.
Check this out.
What's up, Arnie? What are you doing? You made a mess in my hallway.
Hey, Arnie. Looks like you could use a hand. Let me help you.
You don't need superpowers to be a hero. Help make Hillsborough bully-free.
This is Dave. Dave doesn't know his home's flood zone and was not able to heed flood warnings. Dave and his home are soaked. This is Noah. Noah is an informed citizen. He was warned in advance about potential flooding in his area. Noah took precautions. Noah is dry.
And I saved the animals too.
Good job, Noah. When it comes to flood warnings, be like Noah, not like Dave. For more information, visit hcfl.gov.net. Be safe, be informed, know your flood zone.
Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Welcome to the December 11th, 2023 public hearing of the Planning Commission on City of Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For those who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. To all participants, please note that tonight's hearing concerns proposed changes to the comprehensive plan. Presentation should not include matters related to zoning applications and site plans that are not before the commission. Zoning conditions are not relevant to plan amendments and may not be considered by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission's purview in making a recommendation is limited to consistency or inconsistency with the comprehensive plan. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Good evening. Bowden?
Here.
Buzza?
Here.
Cardenas?
Here.
Kona?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Loke?
Here.
Saria?
Here.
Sieben? Orton? Rodriguez? Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
All right, our first and only agenda item is 2A TTCPA 23-01 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 124 Davis Road, and the presenter is Unica Mills.
Good evening, Commissioners. Unica Mills, Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present TTCPA 2301, located at 124 Davis Road. This is a privately initiated small-scale plan amendment, a little over 4 acres, and the applicant is requesting to change the future land use designation from Hillsborough County Residential 6 to Temple Terrace Residential 9. The site is located along the west side of Davis Road, north of Temple Terrace Highway. Here's an aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink. Davis Road runs along the eastern boundary of the site. As you can see from this aerial, it is predominantly single-family residential in the area. There is a large lot single-family residential to the south. There is a parcel that runs along the western boundary of the site that's owned by City of Temple Terrace. It seems to be maybe a trail. And to the north is a vacant parcel. Here is the site looking north from Davis Road. The site is located here. Here is this looking south on Davis Road. The subject site is on the right-hand side. This is a photo of the subject site to the south, that large lot, single-family residential. Currently, the site, again, is designated Hillsborough County Residential 6. I would also like to bring to your attention there was a previous plan amendment directly located to the north for the same request that the applicant is bringing forth today. It was Hillsborough County Residential 6, and they had the Temple Terrace Residential 9 approved back in 2017 under application 1702. Again, the applicant is proposing to change the future land use designation to Residential 9. Currently, under the existing entitlements, the site could be developed for up to 25 dwelling units or over 45,000 square feet of non-residential uses. If the request were to be approved, the site would have the potential to develop up to 37 dwelling units, and the non-residential entitlements would remain the same. Planning Commission staff did review the request and found that it was consistent with the following policies. There are additional goals, objectives, and policies in your backup for your review. Housing Policy 1.1.6 seeks out areas appropriate for higher density infill development and newly annexed areas. Both the request meets the intent of this policy, as it will be newly annexed as well as additional infill density. Policy 8.6.3 and Policy 8.6.4 states to continue the process of voluntary annexations and to be sure that the timing of growth is coordinated with public facilities. Again, this site is moving concurrently with a annexation, and it is my understanding that public facilities are in place to serve the site. Policy 2.1.1 speaks to the protection of established residential neighborhoods. Being that this request is for residential future land use, it is comparable to the already established residential development pattern in the area. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
All right. Is there an applicant presentation? Yes. Please come forward. Hi. Hello. Did you have a presentation or?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I don't have.
okay.
I thought you had questions for me.
No, not just yet. Thank you, though.
Michael Shue with Rebuilding Together Tampa Bay.
Thank you. All right. We did have 2 people sign up in the public comment for this one, so they are both virtual. And I will start with Carl Johnson. Is Carl Johnson on the line?
Yes, Carl Johnson is on the line.
Please go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, I live off of Davis Road, almost next to the proposed amendment. I represent the Wisteria subdivision, which is just north of the proposed area. And we're glad to know it's going to be single-family homes, but we're requesting that it be in keeping with what we currently have, which I think is a Zone 7 in our area, as we are concerned about, one, the traffic increase. We already have Amazon just to the, I want to say, west of us. And then we also have the VA Hospital. This was just built south of us. You know what I mean? So we expect an increase in traffic, and we understand the need, we understand the request to put in more housing, which is fine, but we don't have a problem with single-family homes, but we would request that rather than adding such a large expanse of homes, rather than keeping it at Zone 6, we at least compromise and go to Zone 7. And I have nothing further to add at this point in time.
All right.
We're just looking at the zoning.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Next up, we have a Russell Patterson. Is Russell Patterson on the line?
Russell Patterson didn't check in.
All right. That's all we had signed up for the public comment. So at this point in time, I will offer the applicant an opportunity to rebut or response. You have a 3-minute period of response or rebuttal if you'd like to use it. The comments now? All right. That's fine. All right. And we will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, discussions, comments on this item. I am not seeing anyone moving quickly to the lights, so going once, going twice. I will then close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we find TTCPA 23-01 consistent with the Temple Terrace plan and forward it on to the Temple Terrace City Commission.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Kona. Any more questions or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time, we'll all signify approval by saying aye. Aye. Any who oppose? Not hearing any, then it passes unanimously. All right, that's it for that one. So thank you for the information, and we will move on. Actually, I guess I'll close that hearing because that was our only item. And I will open up our next public hearing. If you'll bear with me for a moment, I'll read us in. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the December 11th, 2023 public hearing of the Planning Commission on City of Plant City Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room. Turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For those who are unfamiliar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. To all participants, please note that tonight's hearing concerns proposed changes to the comprehensive plan. Presentation should not include matters related to zoning applications and site plans that are not before the commission. Zoning conditions are not relevant to plan amendments and may not be considered by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission's purview in making a recommendation is limited to consistency or inconsistency with the comprehensive plan. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Good evening. Bowden?
Here.
Buzza?
Here.
Cardenas?
Here.
Kona?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Loke?
Here.
Saria?
Here.
Sieben? Orton? Rodriguez? Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
All righty. Our first agenda item is 2A, PCCPA 2301, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, east of South Baptist Church Road, south of Alexander Street, and the presenter is Unica Mills.
Good evening again, Unica Mills Planning Commission staff. I am here to present PCCPA 2301, east of South Baptist Church Road, south of Alexander Street. This is a privately initiated plan amendment, small in scale. It's a little over 40 acres. The applicant is requesting to change the future land use designation from Hillsborough County Residential 1, Plant City Commercial, and Plant City Residential 20 to Plant City Residential 9. The site is located within the southern portion of Plant City, south of Alexander Street, west of James L. Redmond Parkway, and north of Charlie Griffin Road. Here's an aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink. The blue dashed line represents the jurisdictional boundary between Hillsborough County and Plant City. We have Alexander Street to the north, again, James L. Redmond further east. South Baptist Church Road runs along the northwestern portion of the boundary. Durr Road runs along the southeastern portion of the boundary. As far as uses in the area, we do have a presence of multifamily residential located along the northwestern, portion of the sites. There's additional single-family residential as well as a church along South Baptist or along the western boundary of the site. We have additional single-family residential that runs along Durr Road. As we move east of the site, there's a large shopping center here. Additional multifamily residential located here. The site is being used for agricultural purpose currently. Here is the site. This is looking east from South Baptist Church Road. This is looking north from Durr Road into the site. Again, there's that presence of the multifamily residential that's located along the northwestern boundary of the site. And this is the medical office just located just north of the subject site, and here is the subject site here. Currently, again, the future land use designations of the site, there's a presence of Plant City Commercial in the red. A small portion of the site is also residential 20 in the dark brown. Hillsborough County residential 1 makes up the predominant area of the site currently. Other future land use classifications in the area include additional Plant City residential 20 in the brown, Plant City Commercial in the red, additional Hillsborough County residential 1 in the light green, Hillsborough County residential 2 in the yellow located here. We have a presence of Gateway District located here. Again, the applicant is requesting to change the future land use designation to residential 9. Currently, under the existing potential for the site could be developed at over 40 or at 49 dwelling units or over 441,000 square feet of non-residential. If the request were to be approved, the applicant would have the potential to develop up to 360 dwelling units or over 609,000 square feet of non-residential uses. So both the intensity as well as density would increase for the site. Planning Commission staff reviewed the request and found it consistent with the following goals, objectives, and policies. Housing Policy 1.1.1, which encourages the promotion of infill housing on vacant parcels. This request would be considered infill housing. Land Use Policy 7.4.5 and Policy 7.5.1 encourages the integration of like uses and to be sure that new development coordinates with the provision of infrastructure. By allowing this future land use, it creates potential for additional residential. And according to the Plant City Utilities Department, there is capacity for this request. Future Land Use Policy 2.7.1 states that future annexations should be used as well as should be planned in an orderly manner for the growth of Plant City. This site and the applicant is also going through an annexation request for the subject site. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation? Nope. No. All right. We will go to our public comment items and we don't have anyone sign up for public comment on this one. So we will then turn it over to our commissioners for questions, discussion items on this one. Not seeing anyone jumping. I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this one and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We move to find CPA 23-01 consistent with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward on to Plant City Commission.
All right, a motion of Commissioner Bowden.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, second to that consistent by Commissioner Bowden. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any, would everybody signify their approval by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, thank you for the information, and we will move on to our next item of business. 2B, PCCPA 23-02 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, north of Baker Street, east of Charlie Taylor Road, and the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Thank you, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. Just one moment. Good evening again, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. This evening I'm presenting to you a map amendment, PC CPA 2302. The site is located north of Baker Street and US 92 or US 92 and east of Charlie Taylor Road. This is a privately initiated small-scale amendment, and it totals 7.3 acres in size approximately. The applicant is requesting a change from Hillsborough County Residential 4 to Plant City Industrial. This amendment includes an illustration of the expansion of the I-4 corridor overlay. This is not a land use category, so it is not part of the official amendment. However, I wanted to show you how it would appear with this expansion. The overlay is basically functions as a customized or tailored zoning district once the land use is approved. The general location map shows the site on the eastern side of Plant City. It is within the boundaries of the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan. Specifically, it's on the north side of Baker Street or US 92 and on the east of Charlie Taylor Road. The site is approximately 1 mile west of County Line Road, a recognized industrial corridor, and approximately 2 miles east of Park Road. Both of these roads have convenient access to interchanges to I-4. This is an aerial of the site. First, I'll point out the blue line indicates the Plant City city limits. The cross-hatching indicates the I-4 overlay as it currently exists on the future land use map as an overlay. And the pink outlined area is the subject property. As you see, currently the subject property is outside of the city limits. It is currently used for a variety of light industrial and retail uses. On site, there is an auto sales and a mobile home sales business, offices associated with those businesses, and outdoor storage. Both are not in operation at this time. As you see in the county to the east and northeast, the frontage lots are retail and light industrial, again with outdoor storage. Running along US 92 to the northeast, you see the area transitions to rural residential. On the south side of US 92, you see retail and outdoor storage, auto sales. There's a motel, a restaurant. It's just a mixed, it truly is mixed use. Behind that line of retail is a railroad track, and then again the area transitions in the county to rural residential, particularly along Wiggins Road, which is this road here. Extending southward, the area is predominantly rural residential. I also wanted to point out on the southeast corner on the south side of US 92 is Lakeside Station, which is in the city limits of Plant City and is a very large mixed-use planned community with a large amount of industrial development planned or existing. In addition, if you look west of the subject site in Plant City, you see the development pattern is distinctly different. It's agricultural and open space primarily. However, on the boundary again into the county, you see this development here. It's a tractor sales and auto sales. This is a street view looking across US 92 at the west side of the subject property, and this is that auto sales business. This is looking across 92 at the eastern side of the subject site. And this is a view looking from that site, which was a mobile home sales site. northwards towards I-4 and the Southern Oaks Business Park. This business park is, the Southern Oaks Business Park is currently under construction. It fronts on Frontage Road, and then beyond that is I-4. This is looking east along US 92 towards County Line Road to give you a feel of the scattered mixed-use development along that roadway. This is looking northwest from the intersection of US 92, which is the east-west road, and Charlie Taylor Road, which is the north-south road. You see that it's primarily undeveloped. Going further down Charlie Taylor Road, you see the construction associated with the Southern Oaks Business Park. This is looking west down 92. Again, you see it's generally undeveloped at this time. This is the adopted future land use map. Again, showing the site outlined in black dotted line and the blue line indicating the Plant City city limits. The site is currently designated residential 4, as are properties in the county to the east and south. There's one site on the south side designated residential 2, and this area in the north portion is residential 1. Within Plant City, however, it differs quite significantly. The area is designated industrial to the north and northwest and southwest, and directly west to the site. And again, this is Lakeside Station, again, a very large industrial-oriented planned development. This shows the site developed now with an industrial designation, and it is comparable to those uses to the north and to the west. Currently, the site is designated residential 4, which would allow up to 29 dwelling units and approximately 79,000 square feet of non-residential use. If the amendment were approved, the residential development would be eliminated, and the site would be able to develop approximately 158,000 square feet of industrial active uses. Staff looked not only at the existing conditions and the future land use map when evaluating this proposal. I wanted to give you a little background on the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan and the preferred land use scenario map that is the product of that master plan. The master plan covers approximately 20 square miles, both in and outside of the city limits of Plant City, again in the northeast quadrant. The plan promotes a village center concept with calling for higher intensities and density mixed use at its core, while leaving areas in the periphery in a more rural lifestyle in the unincorporated county. The master plan provides a vision for growth and development guidelines for land in the northeast quadrant. The preferred land use scenario map, as you see to the left, illustrates the land use patterns that support the vision articulated in the master plan. Now we zoom in to the amendment site itself, which is right here. The Northeast Master Plan envisions this intersection of Charlie Taylor Road and on the north side of US 92 as commercial on both to the east and to the west, and industrial to the north. As you see out in the county, the area is envisioned for residential 4 to the east, and to the west, the area is envisioned for residential 12. This large green area is natural preservation. Staff reviewed the proposed future land use designation change to industrial consistent with the following objectives and policies. Please note all applicable goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet for your reference. I'm going to, all the policies in your packet are either applicable or support this proposal. I'm going to highlight those that support the proposal. The proposed amendment is consistent with land use policies 2.6, 2.6.3, 2.6.4, which support the policy direction provided by the Northeast Master Plan. As discussed earlier, the subject site is located within the boundary of this master plan, and the proposed amendment would advance the master plan's goals for encouraging the expansion of mixed-use areas in order to promote sustainability. In addition, the amendment is identified as an emerging industrial area in proximity to existing industrial areas in the comp plan. Further, the proposed change is consistent with Land Use Policy 2.1.7, which encourages annexations in areas planned for growth. The amendment is in an area with an efficient road network and available public infrastructure and services. Building on the above land use policies, the comprehensive plan lays out a growth management strategy that promotes infill development and compact urban scale development. Again, the proposed amendment is in alignment with this policy. Land use policies 7.4.5 and 8.3 address growth management strategies that ensure compatibility and economic growth and development. The proposed amendment is consistent with the land use policies that deal with these topics. The proposed amendment aligns with the strategy as the subject site is contiguous and is intended to be incorporated into the Southern Oaks Business Park currently under construction. Lastly, land use policies 8.1.3, 8.1.10, and 8.3.1 further support the consistency finding of the proposed amendment. These policies support the opportunity to expand the supply of land for industrial uses and other opportunities for economic development, particularly for targeted industries. Based on these findings, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson. I don't have a separate presentation, but did want to add a little context. She did indicate that this is part of the Southern Oaks Business Park. That's been before you a couple of different times. Sudler Acquisitions purchased the an already entitled PD, and I'm not showing this for purpose of consistency, but just the reality of what the PD is that's already approved. Disregard the blue square, because that's the subject of your amendment this evening, but the rest of this PD is an existing industrial PD. It's several million square feet of industrial development, and the improvements that you saw on Charlie Taylor Road, they were actually made by Sudler Acquisitions, and so this is just another piece. They've been acquiring the property in the surrounding area to try to square off the development between the frontage road and US 92 to address any compatibility concerns and to make sure they're self-contained. And so with that, we would respectfully request a finding of consistency, but wanted to add that context for you. And I'm here to answer any questions.
All right. To our people signed up for the public comment, which there are none for this item. So I will turn it over to the commissioners with questions, comments, discussions of this one. Not seeing any lights, and I'll go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that City of Plant City CPA 2302 from Hillsborough County 4 to Plant City Industrial with the inclusion of the I-4 boundary tech corridor overlay consistent with the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission.
Commissioner Buzza.
I'd like to second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Fernandez, a second to that motion by Commissioner Buzza. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Then I would ask that everybody signify their approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose? All right, it passes unanimously. Thank you very much for the information, and we will move on to our next agenda item, which is 2C PCCPA 2303 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment north of Alsobrook Street, east of Hitchcock Street, and the presenter is Unica Mills.
Good evening again, Unica Mills Planning Commission staff. I am here to present PCCPA 2303 north of Alsobrook Street, east of Hitchcock Street. This is a privately initiated amendment, small in scale. It's a little over an acre. The applicant is requesting a future land use designation change from residential 6 to industrial. As I understand it, one of the purposes of this request is to bring the site into conformance with the current zoning designation. The site is centrally located within Plant City, more specifically, again, on the north side of Alsabrook Street, each of Hitchcock Street, and about a half-mile west of Maryland Avenue. Here's an aerial of the site. Again, the site is outlined in pink. The existing development pattern includes single-family residential to the east. A canal abuts the site along its western boundary, which is owned by the city of Plant City. Further west, we have a presence of commercial as well as industrial uses along the CSX railway. Directly south of the site is a vacant parcel, and then we have a presence of single-family residential here as well as located here. Directly north, there's a single family here, then there's a parcel owned by the city of Plant City, and then there's a vacant parcel that's privately owned here. This is the subject site in its current state. Currently, it is being used for outdoor storage. Again, directly west is the site of the canal that's abutting the site to the west, owned by Plant City. Further west, there's a small commercial center. To the east, there is single-family residential. Again, currently, the future land use designation of this site is a residential 6. Other future land use designations in the area include industrial uses to the west as well as commercial. Here we have a presence of residential 12 to the south, residential 6 to the east. Additional industrial uses to the southeast. Again, the applicant is proposing to change the future land use designation to industrial. Currently, under the existing entitlements, the site can be developed potentially for up to 7 dwelling units or over 14,000 square feet of non-residential entitlements. If approved, the subject site would lose the potential to develop residential, but would increase the non-residential potential to develop up to over 28,000 square feet of non-residential. There were no agency objections to this request. However, the Planning and Zoning Division did note that they have some land use pattern concerns with the request. Planning and Zoning staff is here in attendance this evening if you have any questions of them. Additionally, you should also have received a citizen petition objecting to the request ahead of this meeting. I hope you all received that. Planning Commission staff reviewed this request and found it to be consistent with the following policies. Additional goals and policies and objectives are in your packet for your review. Future Land Use Policy 1.3.2 and 2.1.3 encourages higher intensity non-residential land uses to be located adjacent to established neighborhoods, and they should be restricted to collectors and arterials. Alsabrook Street is a collector. Policy 2.1.3 states to buffer residential uses from negative impacts of non-residential, and buffering and screening would take place if needed at the time of rezoning. Land Use Policy 7.4.5 encourages the integration of like uses or that mitigation will need to take place. Policy 7.4.9 states to actively pursue clean, non-polluting, non-offensive industrial development in order to provide employment opportunities within Plant City. This request, again, if needed, mitigation would take place at the rezoning stage. This is also consistent with providing additional employment base because this would be an industrial use if approved. And policy 8.3.1 encourages target industries in Plant City, of which industrial, research, and office type uses, if approved, would be included under an industrial future land use classification. So it would add to the target industries within Plant City. Based on those policies, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and I stand for any questions.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. Phil Waldron, 2736 Gulf Lake Drive, Plant City. I don't have really any extra comments on it, but we concur with staff and here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. We did not have anyone sign up for comment on this one. Oh, did you have something to say, Unika?
Sorry, just in case, I think Planning and Zoning may wanted to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Please come forward.
Good evening, Robin Baker, Planning and Zoning Coordinator for the City of Plant City. I did want to share our concerns with you this evening on this particular request and why we disagree with the recommendation of consistency on this particular application. The summary of our industrial category in our comprehensive plan specifically states that it should be for the provision of areas that are suitable for industrial activities that create a minimal degree of impact to the surrounding environment. It goes on to say that buffering perimeters should be buffered from residential and commercial areas by open space, streets, visual screening, or other effective techniques. And finally, that tree cover and scenic views must be considered, and maximum retention of those features must be considered. It's staff's opinion that this particular land use pattern in this area was specifically chosen because of the canal that exists immediately to the west of this site. It's a natural feature that is protected with buffers and such because of the state waters that run through it. And because of the age of some of the industrial uses in this area, there is a healthy line of trees that exist along that canal. With a site that's only 1.3 acres, I believe they're going to have a pretty hard time creating that type of visual buffer that exists there today for those existing residences. This entire area east of the canal, even to the north, is all planned for residential 6 according to our land use pattern, and we believe that that's the way that it should stay. We also, even if we try to think outside the box and look at locational criteria, this particular parcel is almost a quarter mile from any intersection that would qualify it for any type of non-residential use. So those were the concerns that we wanted to share with you today about that natural feature that exists. I think they're important in that decision for the land use pattern, especially to protect those residents to the east, and we would ask that you consider that in your decision today. I stand for any questions that you have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if that counts as public comment or not, but I'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond if you like. No? Okay. All right. Again, we didn't have anyone sign up in the public comment on this item, so it is going to be up to the commissioners for any questions, comments, discussion. Commissioner Kress?
I feel like this is a pretty rare situation where we have Planning Commission recommendation different from what the local jurisdiction wants, and I just maybe like to hear a little bit more from, I guess, Unika, as to help us, talk us through that a little bit more.
Sure. Again, the applicant is trying to bring the site into conformance. They currently have as my understanding, an M1 zoning district. There is nothing in the plan that states that they can't bring the site into conformance with the current zoning. I understand that there is a residential to the east, and as staff, Planning Commission staff, we can't at this stage take into how much mitigation would have to take place. We just have to go by the policies that are before us. And the mitigation policy that we do have to go by, I mean, it's general. It says that they will have to provide some type of mitigation. I think that may help in zoning staff's concern. But again, We don't know the extent of that because that all happens at the rezoning stage. It's
Could you speak specifically about the concerns about the buffer to the residential neighborhood on the other side of it? You talked about the tree buffer and the ditch and.
again, being that I'm not zoning staff, I don't know what the extent of what mitigation tactics the applicant would have to use at the time of rezoning. Again, we have a general policy in the comprehensive plan that encourages mitigation when you do have uses that are not alike, adjacent to one another. And again, the applicant has a zoning designation which allows industrial, and he's trying to bring it into conformance.
And I think the only thing I would add from our discussions as staff was that we couldn't find any reason in the plan or in any of the documents, leading up to the creation of the older versions of the plan that said a reason why they were made non-conforming. And I mean, sometimes you do that because you want the use to go away, but we didn't find any documentation of that, so that's why we were more open to the idea of bringing them into conformance.
All right, hang on for just a moment. I'm going to take a step back because Tracy advised that I should put it out to the audience because I do see some extra people in the audience who may not have signed up on our handy-dandy sign-up sheet. So is there anybody in the audience who else wanted to speak in opposition out there? No? Okay. All right, back to the commissioners then. Commissioner Lauk.
Number one, thank you for coming out to staff for Plant City. It's very common in the agency comments to have a report from all the various departments. And I see it's not in the report from Plant City zoning. I see something from the water department, but I don't see anything from staff in there. Is there a reason that was left out?
I thought for sure it was in there.
Might be an internet issue.
Double check.
And the reason I'm asking is specifically after the presentation, I flipped there to reread it in case I missed an objection, because I concur with Commissioner Kress. It's very uncommon to see and differing opinion between the two staff. So I wanted to go read and see if I could parcel through it and see what that was in writing.
Did I leave it out?
It's not on the packet that's online, so we can. I guess there was written comment to that effect. Yes, but from planning and zoning that I guess was inadvertently left out. We can get you a copy of that.
If you have a copy, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, you want to?
Want to hand this in now?
Yeah, I'll go make it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the city's discussion regarding buffering and line of sight is more, again, the PD process and rezoning as opposed to us in our board being future land use. So I think we need to refocus that our decision is based on, is it appropriate with contiguous uses? Is it not? The buffering would be the City of Plant City Planning Board and staff to consider. And I would love to be able to do it, but it's not in our territory, so that would be my 2 cents on the buffering situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Buzza. Commissioner Fernandez.
So, do we have a flood map for this property?
Do you?
A flood map for this property?
We have the overall, excuse me.
Oh, no, that's. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to see it on there. All right, well, the entire property is right in the middle of what used to be. Yeah, it's an older, not updated flood zone, so we know it's probably bigger. The property's right in the middle. That creek, I'm sorry, that ditch was actually an old creek that we're talking about. It looks like somebody dug out. So, I've brought it up before. it is pervious surface now. If it becomes impervious, it just increases that flood area, which some single-family houses are right off of to the east. So just, you know, something, as planners, we have to be looking out for this kind of thing, so that's what I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. I see Commissioner Cardenas moving.
Yeah, you know, just commenting, we're still with a consistent need for industrial land. So, you know, you personally working with clients, it's been a constant fight to find something like this. So, you know, this is what we're going to start seeing more of this. We're going to start seeing more people trying to bring things into what it could be because there's a need for it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. Commissioner Soria.
Quick question for the staff. Looks like there's a canal that runs across the length of the entire street. Was it like it goes across all the way, but it just ends from street to street, but nothing's specifically feeding water? So was there like a buffer created to separate the industrial and the residential by using the canal, or was there a purpose? Like, because you mentioned the part north of it is owned by Plant City. So is there anything in the documents in the history that, like, okay, that defined it for some reason, or it just exists because of?
Maybe Robin can better answer that question to the history of the canal.
I don't know that I can answer to the exact history of the canal, but I would say it's not a ditch. It is state-owned waters. It's part of the East Side Canal that runs through all of Plant City. The city, through the last several years, has bought up several pieces of property around the East Side Canal in hopes of doing a canal connector for a bike ped trail that will be hopefully an off-road trail for pedestrians in the future. So that's why you see along the canal there are some properties that are purchased by the city along that canal. But it is a canal, it's not a ditch. It is state-owned waters in the canal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Waldron, you look like you have some comments for us.
I'm the dinosaur in the room. I was here then. Robin's correct. It's not a ditch. It's a major canal. It's one of the main drainage areas for the city. And this actually was in place prior to the adoption of the comprehensive plan. This property was. You're talking almost 35, 40 years ago. And part of that, in fact, I was a planning director then. Part of the issue there was to try to keep it away from the ditch. And like Robin mentioned before, once we get into the actual zoning and doing something out there, they're pretty stringent on their buffering and things like that. And we'll look at that very carefully. And she'll look at it very carefully. But it is a major thing. And more than likely, the city is also going to want some property along there to maintain that canal. So you're going to shift everything over to the east to try to stay away from that canal.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any further questions? Were you okay with that reading you got, Commissioner Lau? Information. Any more comments, questions, or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Going once, going twice. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. This item, Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we find CPA 23-03 consistent with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forwarded on to the Plant City Commission.
Second.
Motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza. A second to that motion by Commissioner Kona. Any more comments or discussions from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Would all please signal approval by saying aye?
Aye.
Those who oppose?
Nay.
All right. 2, Commissioners Fernandez, nay, and Commissioner Soria, nay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ayes, 2 nays. The ayes have it. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, thank you. Next up, we have 2D PCCPA 2305 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment north of Knights Griffin Road, east of Paul Buckman Highway, and the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Good evening, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff again. I'm presenting a map amendment, PC CPA 2305. The site's located east of Buckman Highway, north of Knights Griffin Road. This is a privately initiated amendment. It's large in scale, totaling approximately 410 acres. 40 acres of that site are currently pending a voluntary annexation. The remainder are within Plant City's city limits. The applicant's requesting a change from Hillsborough County Residential 1, Plant City Residential 4, and Plant City Residential Commercial, as well as Natural Preservation, to Plant City Industrial. As you see on the general location map, the site is located in the northernmost part of Plant City. It is within the northeast master plan boundary. The site is east of Paul Buckman Highway and on the north side of Knights Griffin Road. The site's approximately 3 miles north of the I-4 interchange at Alexander and I-4. This is an aerial of the site. The property is outlined in pink. As you can see again, the blue line outlines the city limits. The remainder is in the unincorporated county. The subject site, as you can see, is predominantly used for agriculture currently, and the surrounding area is characterized by rural residential development and agricultural uses. Directly to the south of the site, in this area, my mouse won't let me go there. Okay, south of the area is the McIntosh Preserve. It's a watershed-oriented nature preserve. I also want to point out outside of the screen, but to the north, is the Green Swamp Conservation Area. This is looking south at the subject site from Knights Griffin Road. And this is looking at the intersection of Knights Griffin Road and Paul Buckman Highway, adjacent to the southwest corner of the subject site. And this is looking east from Paul Buckman Highway at the subject site in this area. This is looking directly across Knights Griffin Road south at a property that previously was developed. It was some sort of plumbing and hardware storage facility. This is looking at the eastern side of the subject property from Knights Griffin Road. And as you can see, there is a home site adjacent to the property line. This is the adopted future land use map. Currently, as you see, the site is designated Plant City Residential 4, which is this orange color, and there is a small portion, which is 40 acres approximately, of Residential 1 in unincorporated county. This green area up here, again, is the Green Swamp Preserve or Conservation Area, and this darker green is designated Recreation Open Space. It's representing the McIntosh Conservation or Nature Preserve. I just want to also point out the little sliver or little square of commercial that was amended a number of years ago. It is undeveloped. This is the subject site designated industrial. Again, it's adjacent to areas currently to the east designated residential 1 to 2.5, residential 1, both of these are in the county, and then the Parks and Recreation for the McIntosh Preserve. Under the site's current designations, up to 1,515 dwelling units could potentially be developed, and up to 4.4 million square feet of non-residential could also be considered. If the amendment were proposed, the residential use of the property would be eliminated, and approximately 8.9 million square feet of industrial use may be permitted. Overall, in summary, the proposed amendment would allow for a range of industrial uses and eliminate the potential for residential uses. This amendment was distributed for agency review, and we received a number of comments. We wanted to bring to your attention the Planning and Zoning Department's comments, as they noted that the proposed change differs and may have a negative impact on the land use scenario envisioned by the Northeast Plant City Master Plan. They also noted that compatibility may be a concern with the residential uses in the area. Community and Infrastructure Planning Department also stated that transportation and compatible related comments were provided. Again, similarly to the First Amendment I presented, this is the Northeast Master Plan. I'm not going to go through the entire description again. The circled area is the location of the amendment site on within the boundaries of the Northeast Master Plan. And this is zooming in on the subject site. I use the little stars to show the location. Generally, this is the designations on the Northeast Master Plan that you can see more clearly. As you see, the predominant land use is residential 4 on site. The darker green is recreation and open space. The teal color is natural preservation. There is residential 12 envisioned to the south of the site fronting on Knights Griffin Road, and there is commercial envisioned at the southeast corner, southeast corner of Paul Buckman Highway. Staff reviewed the proposed land use designation change to industrial and found it inconsistent with the following plan objectives, policies, and policies. Please note all the applicable goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet. I will just be highlighting those policies that support the finding of inconsistencies. The proposed industrial designation is inconsistent with land use policies 1.1.2 and 2.4.1, which focus on preserving the viability of existing neighborhoods and areas envisioned for future residential use. Residential uses would be eliminated under the industrial category. The subject site is located within the Northeast Master Plan boundary. Policies 2.6.2, 2.6.3, and 2.6.4 support the policy direction of the Northeast Master Plan, which illustrates a preferred land use scenario and land use patterns intended to implement the vision of the master plan. The proposed change to industrial is in conflict with the master plan's vision for the subject site and surrounding areas. The preferred land use scenario envisions the area north of Kings and northeast of Paul Buckman Highway as residential, agricultural, and natural preservation as a strategy for discouraging sprawl and preserving rural character. Further, the proposed change is inconsistent with Land Use Policy 2.7.1, which encourages annexations in areas planned for growth. This subject property is located in an area planned primarily for low-density residential, as shown on both the future land use map and the Northeast Master Plan. Expanding on the previous policies, Land Use Policy 7.4.5 and 8.3 address growth management strategies to ensure compatibility and economic growth. The proposed amendment diverges from the Land Use Policy 7.4.5, which encourages the integration of like and complementary uses and mitigation to ensure compatibility. While mitigation can be employed, it would introduce a range of industrial uses that could negatively impact the area and encourage encroachment of non-residential uses in this area. And Land Use Policy 8.3 further supports the Northeast Master Plan's growth and development guidelines, which support higher densities and intensities directed to recognize activity centers located along I-4. These activity centers are identified at the intersection of Alexander Street and interchanges at I-4 and Thonotosassa Road. Interchange at I-4 and Thonotosassa Road and Park Road. Lastly, the proposed Lastly, the proposed land use change is inconsistent with the growth management strategies in the environmental protection section of the future land use of the comprehensive plan. Policies 1.8.7, 1.9.6, and 1.9.7 promote the protection of environmental sensitive lands by restricting incompatible uses adjacent to public environmental lands, discouraging incompatible uses adjacent to publicly owned and managed preserves and parks, and specifically, or further, environmental policy 1.9.6 encourages growth and infill development in activity centers away from environmentally sensitive lands. Based on these findings, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does Plant City staff have any comments or input? None of this. Thank you. All right. Does the applicant have a presentation?
This one. There you go. Oh, here we get it.
Move it from here.
Or you can do it there.
Good evening. My name is Diane Chadwick. I'm a planning principal with Stantec Consulting Services. I'm going to move through this real quickly because Krista's already gone through a lot of this. I would point out that the parcels in question for annexation were sitting right here. And at the time we submitted the application, that annexation had not been complete, but it is now complete. So that part is done. I'm going to go to the next slide. Like I said, I'm going to move through this quickly. The majority of the site does have the R4 and commercial designation, and of course we still have Hillsborough County designation on the annexed parcels. And we do propose industrial, which has the designation allows for a floor area ratio of 0.5 or up to almost 9 million square feet. We are proposing only 4 million square feet, and I know you can't consider that, but I'm telling you that, which is less than half the potential. This is the zoning. A lot of it has planned development on it from an existing application back several years ago. And of course, you have the Hillsborough County zoning on the other parcel. I know you can't consider this for your consistency determination, but I'm just going to show you we have submitted a plan development application. That is something Plant City actually likes you to do, is go ahead and submit your plan development with the comprehensive plan so that they can start looking at compatibility early in the process. And we feel that's an important step. Quite honestly, we like that process. They would adopt all this at the same time, assuming we move forward. But again, the PD plan caps development at 4 million square feet, which is less than half. The site does include a lot of wetlands and floodway, and of course we'll have lots of stormwater ponds, which really lend itself to some natural buffering that I think can ease some concerns when we get to the plan development side of things. And we, of course, will continue to work with the city on their plan development review and work on compatibility issues. The Northeast Area Master Plan, of course, this was adopted 15 years ago. And a lot has happened in Plant City in the last 15 years. The staff, your staff and Plant City is undergoing an update to that master plan. And that started early fall, and I believe we're stalled a little bit, waiting on some analytical information to be done. But I'm hoping to think that it'll be done in early part of 2024. Melissa's shaking her head. Excellent. The working groups that I sat in has been a lot of discussion about how this plan needs to be amended to allow for additional industrial type designations. Mainly they're looking for industrial along the major corridors, like County Line Road obviously has a lot of industrial. I-4, the frontage roads, and North Alexander Street was one of the ones that was identified as being the potential for a lot more industrial uses. Just have a lot of comp plan policies here. The policy 2.6.4 is for consistency, and it says the city anticipated growth, the primary growth would be for both residential and industrial. The intent acknowledges that the proposed land use patterns may differ from the overall general vision of the Northeast Master Plan, and it states that such differences shall be evaluated against the overall land use scenario. And of course, the market for industrial acres has evolved significantly since the Northeast Area Master Plan was done. So I think that should be taken into consideration. There, of course, the site has the necessary connectivity to arterials by Knights Griffin Road and Paul Buckman Highway. And industrial users do tend to search for larger tracts of developable land adjacent to such facilities. And it's important to note that the western boundary is the CSX rail line. That rail line is connected to the Port of Tampa. So this site is the largest site available with a connection to the Port of Tampa through their rail line. And it also obviously has great connection to I-4. Keep going here. North Alexander Street study was done in 2018. That study talks about the diversification in the economy having brought about by the redirection and growth for the area. The industrial growth has all but filled in the developed lands, according to this study, in the more established industrial areas. The study recommended the city reevaluate land uses in the Northeast Area Master Plan in regard to this corridor. Alexander Street is a major transportation corridor connecting US 92 and many areas in Plant City. That connects to the interstate, and then it goes on north to connect to Zephyr Hills and Pasco County. The study recommended promoting industrial development in this corridor for economic purposes for the use of logistics and warehousing facilities. And I don't have any more slides, but I just wanted to point out other policies that we looked at. Land use objective 7.2 talks about managing the use of land by approving new development only if necessary public facilities are available or prior to or concurrent with any development. We are in the process of working with the city of Plant City to extend utilities to this area, and it would very potentially not only serve this project, but the greater area, which is something they need. So we're working on that. Land use policy 7.5.1 talks about ensuring the location and timing of new development will be coordinated with the provision of public facilities through growth management measures such as development phasing, program of public facilities, and zoning. Again, we're working with the city on extension of utilities. This development would of course be phased concurrent with as utilities are brought online. And of course, we've submitted a PD plan to assure that the zoning of the land would include appropriate compatibility measures. Land use policy 8.1.3 requires priority to economic opportunities that are linked to existing economic assets. Plant City has had a tremendous, and I mean tremendous, success in the development of industrial facilities along County Line Road, I-4 corridor, and on North Alexander Street, just north of I-4. This development can be continuation of successful trend Plant City has enjoyed for recent years. Land use objective 8.3 calls for increasing the supply of land available for light industrial, research, and office development with the aim of increasing the total number of jobs in target industries in Plant City. Those industries include manufacturing and distribution facilities. Land Use Policy 8.3.5 calls for compatible design via the use of landscaping, height, restriction, scale, attention to surrounding areas for compatibility. Again, the simultaneous review of a PD plan allows for that. It allows for us to work with the city staff and find ways to address any concerns they may have in this realm. And it also talks about development proposes, it talks about the need for, in these areas, to have for light industrial uses that they be restricted to not have any adverse impacts of dust, odors, vibration, or glare. They will not be allowed. So we believe this application can be found to be consistent with your comp plan when considering the multiple policies and objectives outlined, and myself or Cammie Corbett can be available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. All right. We had a couple people sign up in the public comment on this item. Ms. Corbett, I'm assuming you're with the applicant. Okay. All right. Then we will start off with, let me go online. See, our line people are here. We got one person sign up online, and it was Brandon Cox. Is Brandon Cox on the line?
Yeah, hey, good evening. My name is Brandon Cox. After reading and hearing the entire staff report, we agree with their assessment 100% that this amendment request is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, specifically for the Northeast Plant City corridor. So therefore, we would object to any amendment of future land use change, which ultimately will lead to the rezoning of the property in question. There isn't a lot to add to the staff report and their lack of report and reasoning, but I would add a couple of things. When we purchased this property in 2017, we did our due diligence to see what the plans were as far as development of that farm that borders the east, south, and partial west property lines of our property. And after reading the Plant City comprehensive plan, we made an educated decision to buy the property on Hunter Road that we did. In the event that this future land use amendment's approved, an ultimate change to industrial would have a negative impact on all of the surrounding properties, as nobody that's looking to move to a rural residential community wants to see 4 million square feet of industrial warehouses out of their bedroom window. The staff report ultimate lack of support touched on, in addition to many other negative impacts, the potential noise, dust pollution that Diane just referenced as a potential industrial park, but I would also add the light pollution. The difference between having dark sky compliant residential street lights versus having 235-foot tall site lights for an industrial facility is like the Pacific Ocean. I know that because I make my living selling both. As mentioned in the county's objection of the proposed amendment, there are also two nature preserves, one to the south of the property and one to the north of the property, that would be greatly impacted by the additional light that would surely come from a 24-hour-a-day industrial park. The amendment request makes zero sense other than from a business standpoint of the owner, given the rural residential surrounding area, and it totally contradicts the vision of what the area looks like from a growth standpoint in the Plant City Comprehensive Plan, as that plan clearly states that there is plenty of room for industrial growth in the southeastern quadrant of Plant City, and that area, as Diane mentioned, is well along in the developing exactly that already. I would add that just because the owner has the capital to engage somebody to lobby otherwise doesn't change the comprehensive plan as it sits today, and the fact that the people on the board that wrote that plan were well thought out to the community and what made sense in each quadrant. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We had one individual sign up in person here. That's all from online. We have Alicia Rock.
Thank you. I've never been to one of these, so I'm not really sure of what I'm allowed to do or not do. I kind of had a question, really. My family owns part of the property that's internal. If you looked at the map, it has a couple of pieces that are inside, and so really we're just curious how you consider what the impact would be to something like that that's completely enclosed by this project. Is that something that's considered, or?
Yes, we
We're
won't
not
answer
sure
now. We'll give the applicant a chance to rebut and respond, and they can respond to your question then, but we're not going to do a question and answer with you right now. You kind of just get to say your piece. So if you had 5 questions, you could spit them all out right now if you want during your time. But if that's your only question, then
Right, we'll let them.
okay. Thank you very much. Say your name one time for the clerk.
Alicia Rock.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Was there anyone else in person who maybe didn't sign up but wanted to speak on this item? Going once, going twice. All right. Then I'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond.
Cami Corbett with Hill Ward Henderson. I'll have Ms. Chadwick address Ms. Rock's question because I'll have her look at that because we didn't know about her concern till just now. I just want to say this amendment is not being considered outside of the city leadership of Plant City. What we have is an outdated comprehensive plan and an outdated master plan, and I think there's been acknowledgement that there's outdated plans that are in place and that there are updates going on. So we are in conversation with leadership about ensuring the extension of water and sewer and making sure the roadways are in place. And I understand it's kind of an awkward timing thing for you all because you're dealing with the plan that's in place now, but I do want to make sure that you all know and that the public knows we are working in close conjunction with the City of Plant City to ensure that when this development comes forward, that we will be providing something that is consistent and compatible with the vision of today's current city leaders. I mean, the reality of the Northeast Master Plan is a lot of the residential areas were planned for Res 4, and quite frankly, we're having a really hard time getting development approved at 4 units to the acre. 4 units to the acre requires smaller lot sizes, like 50-foot lot sizes. In Plant City, they've made an intentional decision to increase the lot sizes in PDs to set a minimum of 75 feet. So anybody with a Res 4 land use category isn't able to realize that vision. And so that vision seems to have changed. And from our discussions that we've been involved in, that along those major corridors, they are encouraging industrial. And with that, I would answer any questions. And Ms. Chadwick, if you want to address Ms. Rock's question.
You go back to a map that shows where the speaker indicated she lives in this area over here. We obviously would be very happy to work with her on any specific concerns that she has. I haven't gotten exactly what it is the concern is, but other than the land use itself. But we would be very happy to work with her to see how we can help with any concerns that she may have.
Thank you. All right, so that is all we have for our public comment sign up. I will turn it over to the commissioners now for questions, discussion. Commissioner Buzza?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know this property pretty well, and I have watched all of the Northeast explode with industrial warehouse and that sort of thing. Generally, when we do a future land use change, we're looking at compatibility with the immediate neighborhood and the development pattern. And I'm fully on board with staff on the inconsistency of this one. There is no industrial anywhere near the subject property. The arterial road is a 2-lane country highway, Highway 39 or what's left of it. And they have a CSX rail track there. So to add an industrial use, i.e. heavy truck traffic, to Knights Griffin, I think is well, staff called it right, so that would be my 2 cents on the matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Buzza. Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Krista, can I see one of the maps that you had up that said preferred land use?
Sure. Okay, let's get up here.
I think it was that the one that with the teal, the one with the teal on it, not that one.
Yeah, where is it?
Where'd it go?
Did I grab the wrong one? I did, I'm sorry. That's why I'm wearing glasses, I can barely see this.
I can relate.
Oh, there we go. Let me go back. Should be right here. There we go. Is that the one you're looking
Yeah,
at?
the zoomed in one, no. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
one.
the
yeah,
zoom
the
one,
zoomed in
okay,
one.
okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to say my support for the commission.
in the report, and also give praise to this map because the residents that are here will benefit if a plan like that went in, where there is a bunch of wetlands and flood zones right in the middle of the property, and this is designed to feed those to the preserves and the green swamp to the north, which will reduce the flood area of the residents all around the west side and north side. So I just wanted to support my plan for that map. It looks great. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Are there any more questions or discussions from the commissioners? Going once, going twice, not seeing any. I'm going to close the public comment on this item, and I will open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move we find CPA, good Lord, been a long evening, 2305, inconsistent with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward on to the Plant City Commission.
All right, Commissioner Soria.
I will second Commissioner Buzz's motion.
All right, we have a motion of inconsistency finding by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion of inconsistent by Commissioner Soria. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, would everybody signal their approval by saying aye? Aye. Those opposed, say nay. All right, motion's found inconsistent unanimously. And that was the last one on our agenda, I believe. So with that, everybody have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2024. And this meeting is adjourned at 7:01 p.m. Good night, everyone.